We can go into the hypnotic experience and we can create these stepping stones, these metrics, these benchmarks of progress. And we can really anchor and weave in a feeling of satisfaction, accomplishment, confidence, and pride at every step of the process. So that as we're working our way up into that outcome that we're looking for, it's as if the future us has already come into the present and told us what the template should be, how it should look like, how we're going to feel, and then we can leverage this and use this as a template to go forward through that experience. Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of the G-Spot. I'm Gila Zak, certified hypnotherapist, and this is the place and space where we talk about all sorts of cool things related to human behavior and hypnosis. And today the topic is perfectionism. Now this is one that is pretty universal, regardless of culture or background or wherever we are in the world. It's, people are striving to be perfect. But what does perfect really mean? Perfection is an illusion, a distortion of the mind. It is subjective at best and very limiting at worst. The interesting thing about perfection is that one person's idea of perfection, this person could never even believe or aspire to get there. Another person's idea of perfection goes beyond this person's over here and, well, they can look down on the other person's perspective. But the interesting thing is, what if there was another way? What if there was a model that you could live by that didn't have a cap and it didn't know a bottom? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And this is the model of excellence. The excellence is the best that you can do on any given day with the resources, knowledge, skill, and energy you have. So if you're having a day where you're maybe not on point, you're not nailing it every second, someone asks you, so how was your day? You can say, it was excellent. And if you're having one of those days where you're just on fire, you're just primo, everything is just sailing for you. How was your day? It was excellent. But it gives you the space and the grace to kind of give yourself some mental kindness. Perfectionism can manifest in different ways. It can sabotage our success. And what does this look like? Well, we can start something, but if we don't feel that we're going to be able to do it perfectly, we will start engaging in those behaviors that will prove the outcome for ourselves. The first time I heard this, it kind of blew my mind, related to perfectionism, when you're sabotaging, what you're doing is you are proving to yourself the outcome that you expect. But how can we overcome this? Well, with hypnosis, we can go in and we can say, what is it that is causing us to sabotage? Is it lack of self-worth? Is it lack of self-value? Is it, some belief that somehow we're never going to be perfect, so why the fuck should we even try? Because oftentimes people will start something, but then they will fall off. They will just start really strong, get going, get really excited about it, but then the energy and the enthusiasm wanes and they never finish it. Now, the other way that I see perfectionism come into play is through procrastination. We know we need to get started with something, we know we need to get on it, but we just don't. And very often what I see happening for clients here is when we get into hypnosis and we ask the subconscious mind what's really happening, what I hear is that, why, I just want to postpone the disappointment. Disappointment, yeah. I'm just going to disappoint myself in the end or disappoint someone else because it's not going to be perfect. And so the person will procrastinate and just not even start. And so through hypnosis, we can go in and look at what is it for you, for me, for them? What is the specific issue that we tie to being perfect or perfectionism? And then the hypnosis can help us to untangle that, take it apart, pull out the pieces of the Jenga tower that caused us to feel this way and just let all that shit collapse down and build something entirely new. Now, some people need a pressure prompt in order to get going with something. I know I do. I need a little bit of pressure because it helps me to focus. But if the pressure is perfectionism, then your task, your endeavor is going to be less satisfying, it's going to be more stressful, and you're going to be less likely to really produce the actual product or the experience that you want to for people because you're so worried about it being perfect. Now, I do a lot of public speaking, I do a lot of teaching. And when I'm up there, if I flub a line or if I make some mistake, I just laugh it off and I look at somebody and I make a joke because it doesn't need to be perfect. None of us are. In one of my videos, I had people go through this magical illusion of a funhouse mirror, where we're seeing ourselves in this distorted way, an illusion, a temporary reality created by the way the light bends and reflects off the uneven surface of the glass. But what I want to suggest to you here is that perfectionism is a lens that you yourself have put over your own eyes. Now, I wear glasses. Yes, I do. And when I have people in my office for hypnosis, because a lot of people have this issue, I tell them, if you could look around the room, would you see everything really clearly? Do you wear prescriptive lenses? Nope, I can see everything clearly, Gila. Fantastic. Now I want you to think of yourself as not being perfect, somehow not good enough. And then I want you to put on these glasses and look through them. What do you notice? First thing they tell me is, well, you got some fucked up vision. Yes, I do. But then after we laugh about that, they're telling me, well, everything's really blurry and distorted. That's right. Because if you are looking at everything through the lens of perfectionism, it's never going to be completely clear to you who you truly are, what your worth and value really is, because that model of perfectionism is very likely set by the standard of someone else. Now, that's not to say that you can't strive to be excellent, right? Again, I want to be excellent. I want to be excellent with these videos. I want to be excellent as a hypnotist, as a friend, a partner, a person. And we're not always going to get it right, and that's okay. But when we stop taking ourselves so fucking seriously and we play with something, then the perfectionism starts to fall away. I have many clients that come from a background of sports, for example. Gymnastics is one, ballet and dance is another, where people are expected to perform to perfection, to get that perfect 10. And so they can go through life long after they're no longer engaged in that sport, but they're still judging themselves very harshly. They're still walking around in their bodies in a very rigid way because they've got to get things perfect. And when they can't, that internal coach is the one that's, bitching them out and belittling them because they didn't nail it. But in truth, when we step out of this realm of the pressure of perfection, we realize that, while it may have been a benchmark, a metric in the moment, I got to get to that 10, that perfect score. All of life is not like this. The rest of our life, all of the stuff that's out here, the richness, it doesn't have a cap of you need to get to the perfect 10. Think about the word perfect itself. It's become quite, superfluous, quite ubiquitous, it's everywhere. And someone says, wow, that surgeon, he did a perfect job. Wow, look at them, they're just completely changed. Now that's a great representation of perfection, isn't it? But if we say, hey, what time are we meeting for coffee? Oh, noon. Perfect. So, think about the word perfect. It has so many different meanings. And I want to invite you to consider, what do you want it to mean for you? Now, one of the ways that hypnosis can help with this is it can teach us to really value the progress that we're making. We can go into the hypnotic experience and we can create these stepping stones, these metrics, these benchmarks of progress. And we can really anchor and weave in a feeling of satisfaction, accomplishment, confidence, and pride at every step of the process. So that as we're working our way up into that outcome that we're looking for, the hypnosis becomes almost like it's beyond the carrot on the end of the stick. It's as if the future us has already come into the present and told us what the template should be, how it should look like, how we're going to feel, and then we can leverage this and use this as a template to go forward through that experience. So maybe you've heard that saying, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. And let's face it, there's a lot of good stuff in our lives. Sometimes if we have this idealized fantasy of how we want a date to go, or a birthday, or a vacation, or anything, we have this idealized version of it being perfect, then we oftentimes overlook just how good it really was. So when we can go into an experience and don't have any pressure that it needs to be perfect, the perfect table setting, the perfect outfit, whatever it is, and just go into it with a sense of enjoyment, it's gonna be good. And I don't know about you, but I will take a whole shit ton of good over a little tiny piece of perfection any day. Perfectionism comes into play a lot when somebody is setting a goal for themselves and they overlook their progress. So whether they have challenged their diet in a way that's going to help them to get better, maybe they've started an art project or a program of any kind, and they're not seeing themselves as perfect yet, or they're putting the pressure on themselves to do it perfectly, then what happens is that we're more likely to fall off. We're more likely to just go into the apathy state and just give up. But again, we're looking for progress, not perfection. And this can be a wonderful way to reframe the entire experience to help keep us on track to get to where we want to go. I want you to think for a moment of when other people put pressure on you to be perfect. That doesn't feel good. So ask yourself, are you ever putting pressure on someone else to be perfect? Because if you wouldn't like it happening to you, then you shouldn't be doing it to someone else. Now, the way that this can extrapolate out is into our relationships. And hypnosis can help us to go in and find out why it is that we need to be a certain way in a relationship, or why we need that partner to be the expression of perfection for us. And it usually comes down to insecurities or lack of self-worth or just a fear of not having stability in a particular environment. Now, another way that this plays out in our daily lives is looking at perfection as a need to people please. This is a big topic. We hear this in various places. It's kind of everywhere all the time, all at once. And people pleasing is so prevalent because it's this unconscious need to constantly be creating this illusion of perfection of ourselves in someone else's eyes. And it's usually to get our survival needs met as children, or to be included, or to be wanted, or not to be rejected. But so often when we go through this lens of perfectionism that's acted out through people pleasing, we are putting ourselves in predicaments that don't serve our best and highest good. We're often not setting our own boundaries and sticking to them, or listening to our own wants and needs and desires. And one of the saddest things that can happen is that we can lose ourselves in this feeling that we need to be the pleaser of someone else, to regulate their emotions, to make them happy. Then we lose our sense of self. And perfectionism plays into this very intricately, because people pleasers are out there trying to be perfect in the eyes of someone that they feel they have to, whether it's a boss or a coworker or a lover or a parent or even a child. So ask yourself, if you weren't busy people pleasing and you weren't busy trying to be perfect, who would you be? I wonder. Hypnosis is uniquely effective at helping people break through the illusion of perfectionism, because we can go in and find out where these distorted perceptions were formed, and we can change them. We are a series of belief systems. The subconscious is running, about 98, some believe 100% of our programming. And that story that we have laid down as a template, usually in our first early years, right? Those 0 to 10 years that are really important. The hypnosis can go in and help us to change the story, change the script, change the why. The hypnosis can help us to go in and change the why we behave in the ways that we're behaving. Why is there a need to be perfect? Well, because I didn't get enough attention with my other brothers and sisters, or they were perfect and so they got everything and I got shit. I hear this all the time. Sometimes that really happened. Sometimes it was the illusion that that's what was going on, and it really wasn't that at all. The hypnosis can go in and really help us to get clear. Memories are not as reliable as you think they are. They're very fallible. They're very changeable and malleable. And so oftentimes hypnosis can help us to go in and our memory can become more clear and crisp about what was really going on, that cause us to feel that we need to be perfect. And there's societal measures that are, putting pressure on us to be perfect, to look a certain way, to be a certain way, to behave a certain way, to express ourselves sexually or professionally or personally in a certain way. But in truth, your idea of who you should be belongs to you. And this is where the hypnosis goes in and helps you to really solidify who you want to be, according to your own moral authority and integrity. So when you live by a model of excellence, that illusion of perfection falls away. It makes life lighter and easier, more playful, and it just creates a space, a breathing room to get started on those things without predicting that you're going to disappoint yourself. It gives you the space to continue to measure the progress and to follow those little bits, those little nuggets, and to build upon them and feel good about them so that you can maintain that change that you're looking to make. So I trust that you found this information helpful, and it's helped you to reconsider your notion of perfectionism in all the ways that we've talked about. If you've liked this segment, if you have any questions or comments, feedback of any kind, I take it of any flavor, just leave it down below in the comments. And if you found this information helpful, if you know someone who suffers from perfectionism or people-pleasing or procrastination, please share it with them. And in respect to these videos, not having to be perfect has freed up my creative headspace, my energy, just the ability to do this with more consistency, because it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be great, it can be good, and it just makes everything flow so much more easily. So if you are interested in making videos of any kind, if you're interested in doing some new project for yourself, don't worry about it being perfect. Just get started. Let it be good and have fun with it. I have had a really good time, a really excellent time with you here in the G-Spot, and I look forward to another time when we get to share and play the hypnotic way. All right, until then, take care.